Top of the morning to you all and welcome to this live broadcast. My name is Jane Momboy. It is the last day of March, the 31st. We do trust your month has been beautiful even as we get to close the month and close the week basically here on Good Morning Kenya. We trust that you've had a good one. Nonetheless, welcome to the program as always, and nothing but the very best lined up for you when it comes to breakfast shows. And of course, this is courtesy of the entire team. Ambao wako tayari. We are all set and ready to get this boat rolling. There we go. Victor.
Absolutely. Oh yes, we are ready to serve you some hot breakfast on this last day, as Jenna said it, of the month of March. Good morning and welcome to the show. It is the day that we are expecting that Supreme Court ruling on whether the BBI, so to speak, reggae will continue, or the DJ, all together with his deck, will fold and go on holiday. That will be coming later on, and be sure to catch it live here on KBC Channel 1. Meanwhile, let's get the show on the road. Doreen?
Being the last day of the month, do you feel like you've achieved all that you had set to achieve, your goals, different aspirations? But if not, that's why the new month is just around the corner tomorrow, and you have all of that to achieve in this new month. Anyway, we are here up and early to keep you abreast with what is happening in Kenya and beyond in different things that we're going to be doing today. Obviously, the different conversations, and being a Thursday, it is matters entertainment. So many thanks for making time. I'm Doreen Arange Okelo. Regina.
Indeed, the last day of March, and thank you for keeping us company. So yesterday, while we were doing a spot check on, what Kenyans are saying, and as far as the high cost of living is concerned, remember this is a 2-day special coverage that KBC Channel 1 is been covering. We also invite your feedback. I came across two gentlemen at the Committee Maximum prison in Nairobi, that is, and that is none other than Moses Wamalwa and Daniel Timbe. Good morning. They say that they are avid keen watchers of this particular show, so you too can be part of this programming. Remember, we also stream live on our various social media platforms, and we are open to your feedback. You can get us on KBC Channel 1. I'm Regina Manyara, and this special broadcast on as far matters of cost of living is concerned is going to be running tonight too at 9 p.m. So do keep, or rather save that date. If you're not familiar with the KADOGO economy, well, this is indeed the programming that you need to get in on board, and also give your views and recommendations on the way forward, given that next week we're going to be having Treasury presenting its proposed budget for the financial year 2022-2023. Now, before then, let us get to matters news that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. Good morning. You're watching KBC Channel 1, and this is Good Morning Kenya. I'm Regina Manyara. Now, all eyes will be on the Supreme Court today as the 7-judge bench led by Chief Justice Martha Koome issue judgment on the appeal cases on the Building Bridges initiative. Constitutional lawyers and law scholars say the judgment will shake up the country's political landscape. Ben Chumba reports.
The fate of the Building Bridges Initiative BBI rests on the shoulders of the 7 judges of the Apex Court.
The other scenario, which we hope is unlikely, is to sustain the decision of the Court of Appeal, and that's to say that this Court of Appeal was right.
The other scenario would be that they will allow the appeal, meaning that they will overturn the findings of the Court of Appeal.
On Thursday, the judges will put to an end a 2-year legal battle between the promoters and opponents of the BBI.
I think I would expect that we do not have a unanimous judgment. And even if they do, then we will have some variance in terms of how they fashion the determination.
But progressive Kenyans and progressive lawyers expect that the Supreme Court will say Kenyans should have a chance to debate and amend their constitution.
The burden to determine whether a president can initiate amendments to the constitution through a popular initiative and whether the president can be sued in his personal capacity for anything done or not done while in office shall also lie on the shoulders of the judges.
We had, good arguments. We had evidence to show that indeed Mwananchi was not involved. So that is my personal take, that I hope the judges saw what BBI was for real.
It has been painful. And I know I'm not the only one. I know so many other people who have suffered through this because of the way Kenya has been run since independence. And our commitment in BBI was and still is that we must build a Kenya around justice.
The judges will also rule on whether the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission was properly constituted with 3 commissioners when it processed the BBI bill and forwarded it to county assemblies. With just months before the August 9 polls, constitutional lawyers and law scholars argue that the court's decision is likely to shake up the country's political landscape and could even sway the outcome of the forthcoming general elections.
I think as a country we have moved on from the BBI's amendment of the constitution. So if they uphold the Court of Appeals judgment, I do not think there is any political impact. But should they choose to overturn, then definitely that will have an impact in the political projection going to the 2022 August general election.
It is a reality that all political forces recognize that the Kenya has a problem. Then the progressives say, if we have a problem, some of the problems are so fundamental that it cannot be just about administrative or political reform. Some must go to constitutional and legal reform. You mentioned law.
Both the High Court and Court of Appeal ruled the BBI was unconstitutional, for it failed to follow the sequential steps needed to trigger a constitutional amendment through a popular initiative.
Now, either way, the verdict from the Supreme Court today is going to change how we view things in as far as, our politics especially is concerned. If the Court of Appeal upholds the verdict, well, then Kenya Kwanza earns bragging rights. This is one of the headers that we have with us on our various dailies this morning. 4 issues to be discussed, or rather at stake there: whether the BBI process was legal, and if the 2010 constitution can be amended or is immutable. One of the key issues at stake. KBC Channel 1 is going to be broadcasting that particular proceeding immediately it goes live. And remember, we are also going to be streaming live on our various social media platforms, so do keep it right here for that particular update. Now we cross over to matters education, where the Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has assured 2021 Kenya Certificate of Primary Education candidates of fair Form 1 placement. Professor Magoha says integrity will be upheld to ensure all learners who sat the Standard 8 national examination transit to secondary school.
I request you humbly, during the selection of 2021 Form 1 candidates, do consider private schools equally.
A day after teachers and parents raised concern over the Form 1 selection criteria, Education CS Professor George Magoha has said that the selection criteria will be based on affirmative action, taking into account geographical distribution countrywide.
All Kenyan children are given equal and fair and just treatment, including those children in the slums, including those children in the far-flung arid and semi-arid areas.
Speaking on the sidelines of the ongoing Surgical Society of Kenya conference, Professor Magoha said the selection criteria will not discriminate against well-performing students.
Every child is safe in Magoha's hands, but Kenya is a rainbow country, and we want to be sure that there's a child from Marsabit at Kenya High School, there's a child from Nyeri in Kenya High School, there's a child from Mombasa here in Kenya High School, That's why they are called national schools.
And as the country prepares to usher in junior secondary schools in the new competence-based curriculum, private schools in the country are being challenged to build standalone junior secondary schools to ease the burden on government.
Then these same private schools will now go to government institutions. If government institutions are poor in primary, well, how about secondary? So I want to encourage them to kindly, especially now that we are going to CBC, to create standalone junior secondary schools.
At the same time, Professor Magoha has put on notice individuals who want to compromise the integrity in the ongoing KCSE examinations.
That indeed is a welcome relief, especially for parents and guardians who are worried about the Form 1 placement. Now the scramble for Form 1 slots. Remember, CBC 844 system, there's quite been, the year for candidates as well as the parents. An assurance there from the Ministry of Education. Now, efforts by the Kenya Broadcast Corporation to upgrade broadcast infrastructure have received a major boost. This follows a donation of equipment worth 36.8 million shillings by MULTICHOICE Kenya. Now, KBC Acting Managing Director Samuel Maina said the equipment will go a long way in improving broadcast and service delivery by the national broadcaster. Purity Museo reports.
The handing over ceremony of broadcast equipment donated by MULTICHOICE Kenya to Kenya Broadcasting Corporation was held at Broadcasting House in Nairobi. KBC's acting managing director Samuel Maina expressed gratitude for the 36.87 million shillings donation, saying it could not have come at a better time.
One of the biggest challenges we have always faced as KBC is the issues of equipment. And getting a partner like MULTICHOICE coming our way to do one or two things for us, especially to improve our signal, is a positive thing.
Maina said the equipment will be used to make the content and news management processes more efficient.
This will transform our newsroom by re-engineering our editorial process and set the pace for convergence. This will make our work easier in the newsroom. And I can't thank MULTICHOICE more.
MULTICHOICE Kenya Managing Director Nancy Matimu reaffirmed her company's commitment to support the national broadcaster, offer top-notch services.
But we now want to go a step further and ensure that as a strong partner, we help you have the best quality in terms of delivery of the most important content in current affairs that's consumed by Kenyans. And I am sure that once we have launched this equipment and eventually launched the studio, that we shall see a remarkable difference and improvement.
Nancy has agreed to go and consult with her team whether they can be able to do for us the signal audit so that our signal can also be crystal clear from where it is generated, because the equipment they are giving us is going to help in our processing material.
The equipment include video switches, high-definition audio-visual recorder, routine matrix, playout servers, and a media asset management storage system, which will boost KBC's television studios' upgrade efforts. Purity Museo, Prime Edition.
Now, indeed, this is why the national broadcaster is going to be televising so much more, including the upcoming elections come August 9th, with better equipment and better signal. So do keep it right here. Now, we have been having a special coverage of where the economy is at in as far as Kenya is concerned. The KADOGO economy is a term that refers to the sale of commodities in smaller packages that retail for as little as 10 shillings. The term was coined by former president, the late Daniel Arap Moi, in the late 90s, when he was pushing manufacturers and retailers to make their goods more affordable to the poor, especially in the informal settlements. But as Kamche Menza found out during a visit to one of the informal settlements in Nairobi, the KADOGO economy has not been spared by the choking inflation. Treasurers are now grappling with finding a balance between serving low-income earners and making a profit.
We set out for a visit to Kinyago-Kanuku slums in Kamukunji, Nairobi County. It is almost evening, and our first stop was at John Waduka's shop. We noticed residents flocking here to purchase some basic items for their evening meal. Most of them have come to buy cooking oil. Here they call it salad. However, even in this KADOGO economy, the quantity is not the same as a few months ago.
Zamani tulikuwa napata salad ya shilingi 20 mafuta ya kupikia. Siku hizi hiyo 20 hakuna. Tunaanza na shilingi 50. Hii ni mafuta ya yellow, inaitwa Samli. Kilo moja sasa hivi tunauza na 260. 260 na tulikuwa tunauza na 100. Customer wanalalamika kila mara. Kila siku ni complain. Wengi wao hata imekuwa ni kama tunawafanyao kazi, tunawakopesha sana. Baka unafika mahali jioni unakuta hauna pesa kwenda kununua kitu nyingine.
And not just that, John tells us the previous 10 shilling salad quantity that customers are used to is no longer available.
Hakuna 10, hakuna ya 20.
Hata mtu akikupa unaona kama ni dharau. Juu sasa salad unanunua 5,700, itakuwaje utatoaje ya 10?
But even then, this quantity for customers like Elizabeth will only last them 1 or 2 days.
Nanunua mafuta ya mboga. Takriban ni kidogo nikinunua naenda napikia mara moja tu inaisha. Nilikuwa nanunua ya 20, leo nanunua ya 30, naenda naweka inaisha hivyo.
Nilikuwa nanunua ya 20, sasa nanunua ya 40, ya 30.
Kerosene, which is a common source of energy here, has also become unaffordable. Wamaduka says this is a trickle-down effect from prices of most commodities at the wholesalers that have also gone up. But raising the prices for customers who literally live from hand to mouth is not an option for Pauline Nyawira, a cereals trader in the slums of Kinyago.
Sasa njuku ni kijinji, wamesoea na 100. Na sasa imekuja imepanda na 200 juu. Kama ni mchele sasa njuku kila mtu huku ni kijiji, sasa hakuna mtu anaweza nunua 120 na wausia tu na 100.
This subjects her to losses or less profit.
Kiuza ngunia moja unapata tu faida ni 100. Kitambo ulikuwa unapata 300, 200.
Retaining customers, they say, remains key, as most threaten to leave if the prices increase. And while we were there, we witnessed Maureen Achieng, a grocer, lose a customer who was not willing to dig deeper to buy a tomato.
Nyanya ni kidogo, ana complain na ni hivyo vile tulienda soko tumeuziwa bei kali. Sasa hii nyanya zenye tulikuwa tunauza 310, sasa ni 3 mbao.
The story is the same for most traders in this informal settlement.
Wanasema nimepandisha makaa na wanapata ni ngumu.
Hata unaona unauza hasara. Unaona ukipandisha, sijuzi nilipimia customer, sasa nikimpimia leo anasema ni kidogo, sijui nini, tutahama. Unaona kuna challenge.
Ngine anakuja mafuta ya 10. Unashindwa huu mafuta ya 10 utampimia namna gani? Inabidi unapima kwa kiwango kidogo ili aende tu atengenezwe watoto chakula wasikose kitu ya kula.
Mimi nimefanya biashara kwa muda mrefu, lakini raundi hii maisha yamekuwa magumu. Kila kitu kimekuwa times 2.
Wamepungua juu zao kama zamani nikafungua kama zamani nikafunga saa 4, nafunga saa 4. Na sasa mpaka saa 7 za usiku niuza viazi. Na lazima niziuze nipate at least nipate kitu ya kupata watu ya asubuhi.
Mimi sasa hizi kwa nyumba sinunui maziwa, napika sturungi asubuhi ama nipike uji. Na hiyo uji mara mingi tunaweka chumvi.
And in an economy where the participants are completely dependent on each other for survival, they had one rallying call for urgent solutions.
Kitu minda waomba kama serikali warudishe bei ya chakula chini, sababu hiyo ndio saizi inakandamiza mwananchi wa chini.
Mafuta hii mafuta kwanza yanatupeleka sana liko juu, watupunguze mafuta.
And as the price of the basic commodities continue to rise, the question in the minds of many is for how long will they have to persevere these tough times? Kamchemenza at Kinyago-Kanuku slums in Kamukunji, Nairobi.
Now, the shopping basket, they're clearly continuing to get lighter because the purchasing power has been cut or rather diminished because a majority of Kenyans can no longer afford not only their favorite meals or commodities, but their essentials. It's getting, harder by the day. And as such, Kenyans have taken to social media to vent and air out their frustrations over the surging cost of basic commodities. Using different trending tags, Kenyans have directed their anger towards the government with, among others, catchy hashtags like Punda Amechoka na Punguza Biashara, or rather Punguza Bei Sasa. Yes, Punguza Bei Sasa. Now, our reporter Tess Mutai sampled some of those reactions.
We live in a democratic country where we can take our issues to the streets in peaceful protest, and that is our rights as Kenyans. Instead, we are in a keyboard warrior nation where we would rather take our issues to the social media. Of late, what has been baffling Kenyans is the high cost of living. So, let's take a view of some of their social media comments.
Social media has seen hilarious, if not ridiculous, videos surfacing online of Kenyans measuring the amount of cooking oil to be used in the household in a hashtag Mafuta challenge. These videos have been going viral throughout all platforms, especially TikTok and Instagram. Cooking oil has even turned out as the new ring, as it is now being used for proposals. Has the situation gotten this dire, where people are giving out all their goods for a drop of cooking oil? Or is it just but sarcasm? As if it couldn't get any worse, this video of civilians looting cooking oil in a supermarket, it all social media platforms had.
Twitter and Facebook is not for the faint-hearted, but it is also for the creative writers. So here are some of the views on the platforms.
Hilarious tweets and messages flocked socials as well with hashtag high cost of living. Tweet by Mwangi says, Weka 500 at the petrol station is beginning to sound like kata ya 60 kwa butchery. Crying emoji. Msupa Atoti tweeted, high cost of living ilifanya locusts were left Kenya quietly. Haha, laughing emoji. Apparently, having cooking oil at the moment is a free ticket to joining the Billionaires Club, as a message from Duncan Danko says. However, there are a few who are asking hard questions instead of making fun of the situation. Ken took it to Facebook saying, Kenyans are good at complaining hashtag lower food prices, but still buy the same products instead of hashtag boycott high food prices. We are immoral and dishonest as a country. It's not even about our leaders. It's you and me. We sell products to our fellow countrymen the way we feel. We are greedy. Until the time Kenyans shall change their culture from hypocrisy to honesty, we shall continue to suffer. Hashtag high cost of living. Martin Mack says, what happened to sanity? Politics in Kenya as people sleep hungry?
One can't help but wonder, is social media the correct tool to air their views, or is it causing more harm than good?
Good question there by reporter Tess Mutai there, asking, is this the only platform where we can air our views, and are the government officials, or rather those in charge, actually listening or rather paying attention? Is something going to change? Well, before that does, tonight at 9 p.m., we have the second part of this particular programming, special programming, highlighting, matters of the economy, where we find ourselves, and what experts have to say in regard to the situation, and probably some recommendations going forward. Come the 7th, that is next week, we're going to have Treasury CS Ukurietani present the proposed budget 2022-2023. What will it have in store for Wanjiko this time round? Well, as we ponder on that and save the date at 9 p.m. tonight on KBC Channel 1, we cross over to matters business, where the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority has been challenged to explore ways of utilizing surrendered cash and assets to catalyze economic activity. National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani says over 54 billion shillings held by the agency could be utilized to create wealth and more income as the owners are sought, given that it takes more time to identify, locate and correctly unify the financial assets with their legitimate owners.
Data shows that the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority holds over 50 billion shillings in cash, shares and dividends, with claims worth 1.5 billion shillings from 23,134 claimants having been lodged to date. Out of this, 13,940 claims, over 24 million units of shares, 35 safe deposit boxes and 15 unit trusts have been reunited. However, a majority of owners are yet to make or receive their claims, with the assets lying idle.
When our team here at Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority get a list of people who have funds with us, I have been pushing them and telling them, why don't you just get on the phone and call them? And then they told me that when they call them, they have never had people calling to give them money.
National Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani is now challenging the Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority to explore ways of making the assets productive to the economy.
The amount of resources that you are holding can be a catalyst to the economy. The 50 plus billion. When I look at it, the positive effect of that 50 billion when it circulates within the economy is unparalleled. It can do so much. It will create jobs. It will create incomes and opportunities for very many Kenyans. Look at it strategically and see what you can do with that money as we wait for people to come and claim them.
The Unclaimed Financial Assets Authority has sealed a deal that will see its services offered at Huduma centers countrywide. But Yatani is challenging the agency to do more to reach out to those in remote areas.
I want to challenge the organization to go beyond Nairobi now, because where this service is needed is more beyond here. Those as in Nairobi have access to your portals. They can access your website. The literacy level, particularly the digital literacy level, is quite high here in Nairobi. Reach out to the nomads, reach out to the farmers, reach out to the fishermen.
Huduma Kenya and UFA are partnering to facilitate deployment, decentralization of unclaimed financial assets authority services through Huduma service delivery channels. The UFA is working to increase the availability and accessibility of services by deploying the following service through the Huduma centers.
The agency is calling on Kenyans to have a will or to inform their next of kin about their assets to ease the process of unclaimed assets reunification.
Financial observers say that perhaps the reason why some Kenyans are not claiming their financial assets is because that these assets may be of illicit origin.
We'll be keeping tabs on that just to know that if you're investing somewhere, let someone know about this investment so that you do not end up, if something happens to you then, that your assets and your investments actually become unclaimed. Be open and transparent, especially within the family setup. Now we cross over to matters tourism, where tourist arrivals and revenue this year is likely to surpass the 2019 pre-pandemic levels after tourism industries players opted and adopted and found ways of navigating the COVID-19 disruptions. Now, according to Tourism Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala, innovation, digitization and expansion into leisure travel has been a key to lift tourist arrivals this year.
The tourism industry contributes 10.4% to the economy and employs about 1 million people. However, the hospitality industry has been severely battered by the COVID-19 pandemic in the last 2 years. The industry has now adapted to the disruptions and has employed digitization, innovations, and focus on leisure travel as well as tailored packages, which have lifted up numbers. Tourism Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala expects tourist arrivals and revenue this year to surpass the 2019 figures before COVID struck.
2022 will surpass the revenue, which is the most important thing. It's just not about numbers, it's about revenue.
Speaking during Express Travel Group's rebrand to Hemingway's Travel, Balala said this, however, does not mean the industry is completely out of the woods yet, and air connectivity issues in some places is still a challenge.
We have not fully recovered.
Now you must have technology. The tracking, the mapping of your travelers is key.
The hospitality industry has heavily relied on domestic travel and the corporate travel market to remain afloat.
COVID or that pandemic hasn't come to kill travel, hasn't come to kill business, but there is an opportunity that has come in that people want to travel safe, want to travel in a well-organized and free-of-mind kind of arrangement.
The global travel and tourism market is projected to grow 10% annually over the next 4 years.
Indeed, there's a welcome relief for the tourism industry, given that it received the short end of the stick once, suppressed travel, especially international travel, owing to COVID-19 issues. Now we cross over to matters sports, where the 24th edition of the Summer DEAFLYMPICS is set to run from 1st of May to the 15th in Caxias do Sul, Brazil. Now the International Committee of the Sports for the Deaf has released the draw for ball games, namely basketball, football,